Spain went to the polls on Sunday, and voters produced a parliament that is more fragmented than it has ever been in Spanish history. There's no party that comes even close to an absolute majority. The biggest party, once again, will be Mariano Rajoy's Popular Party, but they are more than 50 seats short of an absolute majority. And not even if you combine two likely or close parties, then you still don't get anywhere near an absolute majority. So Spanish politicians really have their work cut out to somehow form a stable government out of this mess. I think on a night when most parties will have felt acute disappointment, the one clear winner, I think, was Podemos, which surprised pollsters and analysts by winning 69 seats in parliament. They are the third largest force in the Spanish parliament, and they will really try and compete with the Spanish socialists to become the sort of dominant voice of the Spanish left over the coming years. The socialists lost again many seats. They had already been the big losers in 2011 at the last election. The PP is the strongest party in parliament, but it has been decimated. It lost more than a third of its deputies. And Ciudadanos, the very fancied, high-flying centrist party that appeared to be flying high in the polls, came up with a rather disappointing result, winning just 40 seats in parliament. It's really hard to see any very plausible combination of parties that could form a government right now. Of all the improbable scenarios, perhaps the least unlikely is a minority government of the PP, led by Mariano Rajoy again, that would somehow try and strike ad hoc deals and agreements with the other parties in parliament to get its laws and projects passed. However, it is hard to see how such a government could survive a full 4-year term. There are a number of other combinations that are at least theoretically possible, in particular on the left of the political spectrum, but this would again require parties with quite deep ideological differences, such as the pro-independence leftists from Catalonia and the Spanish socialists, to somehow put aside their differences and form an alliance. It is really hard to see how a stable government can emerge from this. The first reaction in markets and from business leaders, I think, has been quite negative. Spanish bonds sold off, Spanish stocks sold off, not by a huge amount, but certainly enough to make clear that investors and businesses are concerned about what happens next. I think we will certainly have a prolonged period, probably several months of political uncertainty with a caretaker government and with really difficult negotiations between the party leaders on somehow forming the next government. And finally, of course, markets never like uncertainty, and it is very uncertain what will happen next, who will be in government, and indeed how long that government will last. What we'll see in the coming months, as I said, are these intense discussions over forming a government. If no agreement can be reached, then Spain will quite possibly have to hold another election early next year. Tobias Buck, Financial Times, Madrid.